I will be giving myself 5 years to rebuild UCLA, and with Chip Kelly departing to Ohio State and UCLA joining the new look Big Ten, this will definitely be harder than I expected. To make things even more difficult for myself throughout this video, I will need to complete these challenges, and if I fail to complete even one of them, I will be giving a new copy of College Football 25 to a random commenter below. Also, to add an extra element of difficulty, I will be only allowed to recruit from the state of California, but luckily, there's going to be a lot of players in here. Thankfully, with a big name like UCLA, I should hopefully be able to land some big name prospects, which would be huge for me because one of my challenges is to get a top 15 class in the nation at the end of a year. And looking at team needs, it looks like the defensive side of the ball is a team I need to focus on the most. And after recruiting the first 20 prospects, we are looking really good if we're able to get even half these players, including 80 overall quarterback Terrence Levine. And as is typical with this, we'll be redshirting our players to begin the season, and these will be the only players I'll be here for the entire 5-year rebuild. And with UCLA joining the Big Ten, things are going to be extremely difficult on the schedule every single year. Just look at some of these games. We're looking pretty good going into the first week as we're ahead on some of these good players. But looking at the battle for the two highest rated players on my board, Terrence Levine and Ryan Brown, they both want to go to USC, and these are sweepstakes that we definitely have to get. With UCLA losing some players to the NFL draft this last year, it's no surprise that we're sitting at a high 80 overall. And with a roster like this, I expect this team to do pretty decent in its first year in the Big Ten, especially being led by senior quarterback Ethan Garbers, who comes in at an 86 overall. But it's time to get this underway, and we're going to sim a couple weeks, and looks like we got the first win, which is perfect against Virginia. And it looks like we should have jumped in for that game against Oregon, because we got absolutely destroyed. Hopefully against ULM, though, we'll be able to get back on track of things, and we'll be able to take a look at recruiting after this as well. And it looks like, yeah, we're going to destroy them. And after a couple weeks, things aren't looking that good when it comes to recruiting, as USC is leading on several players. And the first game we're going to jump into is against number 15 Michigan State, and the main reason for this is because we have several recruits coming to visit this week. It should also be mentioned that I'm only allowed to jump into 3 regular season games a year. Midway through the second, this game has been a back and forth showdown, and on 3rd and down we're finally going to be able to get another stop. Now unfortunately this will lead to Michigan State getting points, but at least we stopped them from getting another touchdown. Now unfortunately Michigan State would score again right after that, leading us to go down by 9 points. And wait a second, is our second string quarterback out there? And look at that, Ethan Garbers out for the entire season. That's a terrible blow to our team. Now, I don't know how long he's been injured for because it could be several weeks, but now we have to rely on Charles Slee to get the job done, and that's a beautiful play on 2nd down. And his name is actually Colin. I should get it right, especially if he's making throws like that last one. He's got a guy open. He's going to be able to get it there, and we're going to be able to. Just close. And that was a great way to end the half to give our team some momentum going into the second one, because we're going to need it for sure. Because like I said, this is a big game. And with tons of recruits coming in, we're going to need more plays like this one right here to make them actually want to come and commit. That was a huge play by Colin, by the way. And with our defense getting another stop in the 4th quarter, we have a chance to go multiple possessions, and it looks like that's what we're going to do. And from there, we'd go on to get our first ranked win of the season. Now, that win only matters if we have some recruits commit to our team after this, and I'm really hoping we do. And it looks like nobody committed that first week. That is not good. Thankfully, though, we are in the lead for a lot of players, including a lot of defensive players. But it looks like we're going to lose the battle to the 2 top players I want to get, and both of them want to go to USC. This is terrible. Thankfully, though, we are leading on 4-star athlete Joe Rooney, and looking at his stats, looks like he could be a quarterback and a fast one at that. Halfway through the season, we are currently sitting at 7th in the Big Ten East, sitting at a 4-2 record, and that's because during simulation we lost to number 6 Penn State and barely beat 2-4 Cal. And things got even worse, as during those weeks we had 4 different players lock us out, including Joe Rooney, which is the quarterback that I also wanted to go for. Thankfully, though, I am able to use unlock the door and get 2 of these players back in the race. I don't know if we stand any chance of getting these players over ASU and USC, but we absolutely need them for this rebuild. There was some good news to come out of those last couple weeks, as we have 2 players that finally committed to our team. And I just realized right now that one of these players isn't from California because the AI accidentally recruited them. So now I have to get rid of him, so we just have Corey Holmes. This is terrible, actually. Now, with us sitting at 4-2, you'd think that wouldn't be bad, but just looking at the last half of our season, things are going to get a lot worse for us. Thankfully, we would pick up a good win against Indiana, and somehow Purdue is sitting at a 5-1 record, so I think this is a perfect conference rival to jump into. Another big reason for this is we have a ton of prospects visiting this one, and I may have underestimated Purdue or overestimated my defense, because we're currently down by 7 points in the 3rd quarter, and that was a beautiful catch. Our team would score after that, though, putting us up by 5 with 3 minutes left in the 4th. This is a huge 4th down conversion that we need to get a stop on, and we're just barely going to get it. That play may have saved the game, as we're going to try to round out the clock for the rest of this one. And that's exactly what we were able to do, as we picked up our 6th win of the season, officially making us bowl eligible. And with the rest of our schedule looking like this, we absolutely needed to win that game. But here's the moment of truth going into that next week. We need to see a lot of yellow on the screen. And after that game, we only had 2 commits, but honestly, at this point, I'll take it. Our class is looking really up and down right now. But we are still leading for these players, and luckily we got Joe Rooney back on our side, but Terrence Levine is still trying to go to USC. And really, the only thing saving us with with him is that he's visiting us before he goes to USC, and we really got to be on top of him if we're going to be able to get him. Pause. Let's go ahead and simulate our game against number 4 Ohio State, and I'm not expecting anything good in this one. And yeah, we were officially ranked for the first time this season, but not anymore. And with another loss to Washington, there's absolutely no way we're making the playoffs. And our next game against Michigan is gonna have the same fate. We scored 12 points. Are you kidding me? Okay, I just need to take an intermission here. How is this guy not committed yet? We are up 10,000 points. I've actually never seen that before. Now, I do need to remind myself that this is only the first season, so things shouldn't be going the best anyways. But when I tell you that our next game against USC is important, I absolutely mean it, as we have 14 recruits visiting this week, including 2 of our top prospects in Terrence Levine and Joe Rooney, who are now leading on pretty good. Not Terrence Levine, though. For whatever reason, he still wants to be a Trojan. Screw him. Not only is this a big game because of the prospects we have happening, but this game could also contribute in a positive way, as if we win this game, we'll knock off another challenge. Wait a second. Is our third string quarterback out there? I don't even know what I'm looking at. All 3 of our quarterbacks are injured. I don't even know who our quarterback is right now because he doesn't even show up on the depth chart. That's how low he is. And it looks like we're relying on 82 overall freshman Luke Duncan to get us our biggest win of the entire rebuild thus far. Hopefully on this first play with us, he can make some... Oh, that was oh, God. We're screwed, guys. Well, at least we're able to cut the lead down to 4 points. We still have a long game ahead of us. Now, I cannot believe this, but our team is actually putting up a great fight against a much better team, and we are actually going to go up by 6 again. But things have taken a turn for the worse in this game as we find ourselves down by 7 with 1 minute left in the game, and we need a touchdown. And I'm going to roll out right, make a terrible read, and yeah, that's going to be the end of the game. I don't want to talk about this one. No big deal, just lost the most important game of the rebuild, but thankfully this is some good stuff here. We still don't have Joe Rooney or Terrence Levine, but we can work with this. We have no more games the rest of the season, but we're still barely leading on Joe Rooney, and we actually took a lead on Terrence Levine. And overall, this first season was pretty much exactly what I expected. We did really bad in conference play, though, and it looks like we're playing the Blue Devils in the Holiday Bowl. This will hopefully be a breath of fresh air as we're not playing against the vaunted Big Ten teams. Also, this stadium looks sick, by the way, and thankfully for us, Colin Shalee is back from injury, so we don't have to worry about playing with Luke Duncan after that terrible game that he had against the Trojans. And we're going to try to go up by 28 points in the third quarter. And using the read option cheese, going up by 28 is going to be very easy to do. We would cruise to an easy victory from there, knocking off our first challenge of the video finally. All in all, that was a pretty decent season, going 7-6 and winning our first bowl game of the rebuild. And looking at players leaving for the draft, it looks like we have a lot of our top players. This is not good. At least hopefully we can get some good players in the offseason. With having players drafted, though, that will help us in the long run when it comes to recruiting. And speaking of recruiting, after dumping all of our points into Joe and Terrence, I think we have a really good chance of getting both of them. And after advancing, we got all 3 of the prospects we had left. This is so good for us. And even though I thought our class was pretty bad, we somehow managed to get a top 5 class just above USC. Take that, USC. I'm still not over that loss. And we have some really good prospects coming in. It looks like every single one of them are from California. Okay, maybe besides this guy, but I'll get rid of him. Don't worry. And with signing a class that high, that also means we officially knocked off another one of our challenges. Now, this is the best part of any offseason, as it looks like our team jumped up a lot in many places. But don't let that fool you, because we're still struggling in some, with a 47 overall cornerback being one of our starters is bad. And in real life, the Big Ten isn't going to have any divisions, but in this game, there is. So I decided to move all the former Pac-12 teams to the west side to make sure they still play each other. And of course, beginning our search by looking at all prospects in California. Oh yeah, that's nice. Our main focus going into this year is going to be focusing on our offensive line along with our defensive secondary. That includes our cornerbacks and free safeties as well. And can I just say, I love being able to recruit in California because there are some amazing prospects that we found, including this 81 overall Jim that we found at tackle and another 81 overall at free safety. This is what our quarterback room looks like going into year number 2, but I think I'm going to redshirt Rooney and put Terrence Levine at the number 1 spot. And if Levine performs poorly, I will not be afraid to put Rooney in, especially when looking at the speed rating between the two. Oh, and did I mention outside of these 3 guys, we have terrible cornerbacks and free safeties too. Just look at that. Going into year number 2, our team improved drastically with our offense jumping up to a 95. But before I forget, I need to make sure that I put Terrence Levine as our number 1 quarterback. And like I said, if he performs poorly, I'm not afraid to put in these other quarterbacks. And right now, we're currently sitting outside of the top 25, ranked 33rd in the nation. And the game is predicting the former Pac-12 members to dominate the Big Ten West, with each of us finishing in the top 4. And of course, they put us last. But hopefully this trajectory is good and we keep improving on each year. And with us unlocking instant commit, we were able to get this 4-star athlete to commit right away. And it looks like he's either going to be a great cornerback or a great receiver, depending on what we need. But it's time to jump right into this thing, and we're starting off with a huge win against Virginia. We would also follow it up with a close win against Minnesota, starting off the season 2-0. But unfortunately, the winning streak will end there as we lost to Michigan State the very next week. Now, having all of these recruits ready to visit, I think our game against 0-2 Washington is a perfect time for them to come. And even though the Huskies are 0-2, I think this could still be a difficult game. But it turns out that I may have been wrong about that, as we were up 24 points in the second quarter. And wait a second. Yep, it looks like our starting quarterback, center, and receiver all hurt. And that sucks because I really wanted Levine to get some experience this year. But luckily, we have an 88 overall sitting right behind him in Justin Martin. And And if we're able to go up 31 points, I think this game is all but over. Yeah, let's just say I'm really glad I brought the visiting prospects to come in this week. And hopefully that dominating performance translates to the recruiting, and it looks like it did get us a couple players, including this really good punter. I know, what a boring position. After simulating 3 more games, we would win 2 of them, along with getting a couple good recruits to commit to the team. And so far we're sitting 3rd on our side of the conference, but we already have 2 conference losses. If we have any chance of playing in the conference championship, we're going to have to play against Oregon and USC. Now, unfortunately, the only home game where I could schedule recruits is against Nebraska, so we're not going to be able to play that one. And that's because I'm focused on playing the games against Oregon and USC later on in the season. But in order to have a chance, we're going to have to win these games, and it starts against Wisconsin, and we lose the first one. We would also lose the second game against Nebraska, and that's terrible because that's where all of our recruits were coming. Well, just like that, the entire season will be flipped on its head, but at least we beat Illinois. Thank you. Even though it was a loss, hopefully that game against Nebraska brought in some recruits, and it looks like we have some more that came. We actually have a lot of high overalls coming this year. I think it should also be mentioned that we have no chance of making it to the conference championship. So with that being said, I'm going to fully focus on our game against USC, meaning I'm just going to simulate this one against Oregon, and hopefully we win and we lose. Of course we do. Even though going into the last week, our record is sitting at a measly 6-5, this season was saved by the immense talent that we got in the recruiting with tons of high 70 to 80 overall players. Also, we have a chance to contribute to our goals by beating USC. I want revenge. And in order for us to win this game, we're going to have to control the tempo, and thankfully for us, Terrence Levine is back out there, and we're getting our first look at him. Let's see how he does on his first play. Okay, we're in for a rough game. And a long game it has been, as we are currently down by 14 points. And if you guys noticed on this play right here, Terrence Levine got hurt again. And if I'm not mistaken, this is almost the exact same injury as before. Like, what is going on? This means we're going to rely on Martin yet again, and hopefully he can make some plays, and this is not going good. Now, it's taken most of the game, but in the 3rd quarter, if we play this correctly, we're going to be able to tie up the game, and thankfully we were able to. And just like that, we're looking really bad if we get up a touchdown here, and we're down by 7 now in the 4th quarter. Great. Now we are moving the ball down the field, so we still need to score a touchdown. I might go for the 2-point conversion. We'll see how I'm feeling in the moment, but we got to get the touchdown first. All the way down on the 1, I'm going to use the read option. Honestly, I don't mind if they stop us here because we'll be able to kill a little bit more clock, but we can't deny the touchdown. This is huge here because if I don't get this right here, we're going to lose the game, and we could lose the challenge, and he's just... Thank you for catching it. I'm losing what I'm saying, but thank you for catching it. And with only 8 seconds in the game, it looks like USC is going to attempt a Hail Mary, and we need this to be the last play of the game. Please don't catch it. He caught it? Oh my God. I am absolutely devastated. Would you look at that? I can't believe it. This is actually an interesting bowl game against ECU in the Gasparilla Bowl. And to think the season couldn't get any worse after last game, we lost in the Gasparilla Bowl. What even is that? Well, coming into year number 3, I am ready for vengeance yet again. And it may seem like we don't have a lot of people leaving, but all of these players were our top players. Just look at these overalls. This is a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But like I said before, we have a really good recruiting class coming in with some high overalls. And this class was used to mainly address our problems at cornerback along with free safety. And after all those losses in the offseason, we only have 4 players above 90 overall, but at least our team is still trending in the upward trajectory. Before going into the recruiting of season 3, I think we should look at the challenges. And we still have all of the toughest challenges waiting ahead of us, and we only have 3 seasons left to do it. As always, we're only going to be recruiting in the state of California, and there's actually a lot of good players at the top here. This class is mainly going to be used to fill in the holes at offensive line, and I think yet again I'm going to give the reins over to Terrence Levine to see how he can develop this year, and hopefully he can have a good season and stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. Our schedule is again sitting around a B, and after last season, I am not as confident going into this one. Hopefully these predictions are true and we end up being a really good team the next couple seasons, but they're not giving us any credit on our side of the Big Ten as they project us to finish 6th this season. It doesn't really surprise me either, as we're sitting at 90 overall across the board, going down 2 from last season. And on the recruiting side of things, I'm only looking for players that'll be able to make an impact going into next season and the season after that. And it wouldn't take us long to get our first loss, as we ended up losing to Minnesota by 29 points. To help stop the bleed, hopefully, I'm going to play against 23 Michigan State in the next one. But honestly, my biggest focus for this season is just beating USC at the end of this year. But hopefully I can stop the bleed and turn the season around by beating Michigan State. And depending on how this season goes, I might be seriously tempted to bench Levine, especially with throws like that. Yeah, and the rest of the game from there did not go good, as we ended up losing yet again. I cut out a lot of it, but during that game, Terrence Levine made some of the worst throws I've ever seen. I don't want to see him on the field ever again, period. I think it's time for Joe Rooney to finally take the mantle. Things are looking good so far, as Rooney would pick up a win in his first career start, and playing against a tough team in Iowa, he would end up getting a loss, barely though. I think I'm going to ride with him the rest of the way though. But hopefully against Cal, we could turn things around, and we really need a win here. Barely going to lose. We're looking really bad this year. Now we are going to jump into this game against 0-4 Tulsa, mainly because we have a lot of top level talent coming to this game. Now this game should give us a good first look into what Joe Rooney Rainey could do, but look at those stands. There's nobody here anymore. This has been a bad rebuild so far, but trust me, we'll get back on top of things. Now, this may be the worst start to a season thus far, but next season, the season after that is where this team's going to start really picking things up. But throughout this game, our defense has been able to get barely any stops, and our quarterback has missed a lot of throws that I haven't shown, including that one. Well, we have a guy that beat the man press on the left side, and another terrible throw. We don't deserve to win this game. And just like that, we fall into 2-5 on the season. Well, after simulating from that point on in the season, the only thing we have going for us now is that USC is somehow worse than us, sitting at 1-9, even though they're a 95 overall. Also, did anyone else notice that Illinois is currently ranked 3rd in the nation? This file makes no sense. If we win this game against USC, we can knock off another challenge. And after driving all the way down on our first offensive drive of the game, we're going to look to get on the board, and we get stopped just short. Hopefully, we're able to punch it on 4th and goal, though, and the game glitched out. So instead of giving the ball off to a wide open hole up the middle, look at him waltzing in. This is what happens. This game just does not want me to be USC. I don't know what it is. Well, if you're surprised, we're down by 3 in the 4th quarter. I don't know why, because it seems like every single game this season we have been down, needing a last-second score, and hopefully we could do it today. I genuinely did not expect the rebuild to be this difficult, but honestly, I'm kind of glad that it is, because it's really testing me, especially with stuff like that. It's a big play on 3rd down, though. Hopefully we get someone open. We got him open. Good throw, finally. Now, we're driving down the field pretty efficiently, but we still need to get a touchdown and get the extra point. And that's just so we can go up by 4 points, forcing USC to need a touchdown. Let's just get in the end zone here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is honestly looking so terrible right now, and I'm run committing, so we need to stop. That was a huge play on 2nd down. They still have 1 play left, though. To think that this is a game against a 1-9 and a 2v8, they have somebody open, please get a stop, and we won. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. To think that this was a game between teams that were 1-9 and 3-8, I genuinely feel like I just won the lottery right now. We finally beat them. With only 2 seasons left of the rebuild, we are going to forget these last 3 seasons happened, and I am very confident going into season 4 and 5 with our best team available. Unfortunately, we did have 2 players transfer out. I was able to convince Terrence Levine to stay. I don't even know who's going to start a quarterback next season, but we did lose a couple players, not too many though. And like I said, at the quarterback position, I have no idea who I'm going to start, and I might even start Luke Duncan, even though we've been focusing on Levine and Rooney more. But for this season, I might have to do it. A lot of our best players are seniors, so I might put Duncan in to give us the best chance that we have at winning, especially because most of all of them are seniors at the top. With there only being 2 years left of the rebuild, I'm going to completely focus on the gameplay aspect and put all of my points that I've earned as a coach into the gameplay side. I'll still have a couple going into recruiting, but overall we're focusing on winning this year, not recruiting. And going into year number 4 with only 2 seasons left, we still have some of our most difficult challenges to obtain, but I think we could do all of them this year if we're lucky enough. Going into year number 4, this is what the schedule looks like, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. And let's not be fooled, we know these unranked teams are going to be very difficult to beat as well. And this is a great sign to start the season, as we are ranked at a 97 overall. But even with that great overall, we're still projected to finish 5th on our side of the Big Ten. I don't blame them, we've been bad. I think the biggest choice that I'm going to make all year is who I'm going to start at quarterback, and I think I'm going to roll with Luke Duncan, considering he's the highest overall. This single decision may or break this entire season, but we're going to roll with him. Luckily for us, we have an FCS game to start off, but the very next week we're playing against Penn State, and we didn't beat FCS that bad. For this season, I'm not worried about recruiting, and if we're going to start things off with a bang, I think we need to jump into Penn State right away. Now, this could be one of the more difficult games that we play this entire season, so we need to make sure we win this one, because it'll be crucial to our success this year. And thankfully for us, driving down the field pretty early on in this first one, we have a guy open in the middle, and we're going to get the first touchdown of the game, thankfully. And it looks like it's another game where it's coming down to the wire. We need to get down the field and score a touchdown on this last drive. This game's too important. I'm not risking it. We're going to go for the tie and hopefully go to overtime. And with both teams scoring on their first possession, with Penn State having scored twice, we need this touchdown here, and thankfully we got it. This could potentially be the worst idea of the video. I put Rooney in. We're going to go for the win here. We cannot risk it getting to another overtime, and thankfully we got it. That was such a big game to start the season that will hopefully catapult our confidence and lead us to big places this year. Now, Michigan State has been a thorn in our side throughout most of this rebuild, but with tougher games coming on later in the year, we're going to have to send this one and hope for the best. I'm hoping we win, and we lost. Hopefully we can bounce back in our next game against Washington, which we do. And the only good thing about our loss against Michigan State was that it was early in the season, but now we have number 8 Iowa coming up next. Now, this would be a game that I jumped into, but I didn't play at all. I just simulated the entire thing, and we absolutely destroyed the Bruins. That game would also be huge in saving our Big Ten championship hopes, and for the first time in a long time, we're finally ranked in the top 25. And against Ball State, we would extend that winning streak. I would imagine we're going to be able to win this one against Cal, but still, simulating these games is absolutely terrifying, and it looks like we're going to destroy them, thankfully. After a couple more wins, we're currently 2nd on our side of the Big Ten, with that big matchup against Oregon coming up in the next couple weeks. But we can't worry about that right now, as we're about about to simulate against Wisconsin in a big game, and we barely get the victory. Honestly, with each win, I get more nervous about the next game, and you never know what could happen in Simmons against 1-5 Nebraska. We are going to win again by a narrow victory. We're now at the point of the season where we cannot afford another loss, and our next game is coming up against the Fighting Illini. Now, with me being only able to jump into a couple more games the rest of this year, I'm going to have to simulate this game and hope for a win. Now is a great victory for us. That win would put us at 9-1 and leave us with our two most important games for the end of the season. With us sitting behind Oregon in the Big Ten standings, we have to beat them if we want a chance at the conference championship. Not to mention that with the college football playoffs, we're currently sitting at 11th in the nation, and if we keep this up, we can make the playoffs as well. And taking a look at the Heisman Watch, our running back is currently #1 in the nation. This means if everything goes our way, we can get all of our challenges done this season. But in order to do that, we're going to have to go through Oregon first. So far in the first half, our offense has been able to keep up with the high-scoring Oregon team, but on 3rd and 12, we need our defense to make a big stand here, and thankfully they're going to be able to do that. But they must have faked the field goal because I simmed the play and they scored a touchdown. Great. But with less than a minute left before the half, we were able to drive all the way down the field and take the lead to end it. And who would have thought that in the 4th quarter we'd be down? This was all because of a missed extra point that we had earlier in the game, but I'm confident that our offense could get down the field. And after working the clock all the way down in the 4th quarter, I was able to hit this kick and we're able to win. I feel like I have not had to work harder for wins than in this dynasty right here. That win would catapult us into the top 10 in the college football playoff rankings. And although Carlson did move down in the Heisman poll, he is still a finalist. So with us currently sitting at 2nd in the Big Ten standings, we have to win our game against USC. It's only fitting that the most important game of the video comes against our rivals. But there's been no point in building up this game as we have controlled the tempo throughout this entirety. And that final run play would give us the outcome we desired as we were able to kill the rest of the clock from then on out. That game would officially put us in 1st place of the Big Ten West, meaning that we'd now be playing Michigan for the Big Ten championship. It has been such a journey to get to this point, so it makes me so glad to finally be playing in the Big Ten championship for the first time in UCLA's entire history. And with Michigan being one of the more difficult teams we've played in this rebuild, it's going to be great going up by 7 in the 2nd quarter. However, that lead would not last long as Michigan would score right before halftime and score when they got the ball in the 3rd quarter. The shift in momentum for the game would force us to slow things down by keeping things on the ground, and luckily we were able to tie the game. Michigan was able to go down the field and take the lead, meaning yet again we would need another 4th quarter comeback to win a game. It is actually insane how many games have been down to the last second in this rebuild, and it has definitely taken some years off of my life. And with us driving down the field and using a lot of the clock, I'm going to try to score pretty quickly here. We have R1 open. We're going to be able to make the throw. Can we get in the end zone? We're close. I think in times like this, we have to give it to our Heisman finalist running back right up the middle, and we're going to be able to take the lead. That play would result in us beating Michigan and UCLA claiming its first Big Ten championship in school history. That game would lead to us knocking off another challenge, and with Carlson finishing as a Heisman finalist, we only have one challenge left. And it looks like we're either going to play Texas Tech or Syracuse. And to no one's surprise, after simulating the game, Texas Tech absolutely destroyed Syracuse. And because of that, we're now taking on the Red Raiders and their crazy good offense. It has taken so long, but just like I predicted at the beginning of this season, we have finally made it to the playoffs. And hopefully with us going on first, and with us being able to get a touchdown, we finally get to go up first. The Red Raiders would respond, but right before halftime, we're trying to do the exact same thing, getting a big play here. And we're, of course, going to give it to our Heisman finalist to try to punch this thing in, which it looks like he's going to be able to do easily. Fast forwarding to the 4th, we'd be down by 3 points, looking to get that lead back, and we're getting really close to doing so. Honestly, I don't mind if they stop us here, because I'm trying to kill as much time as possible before giving it back to them. However, we do need to still score a touchdown, and it looks like we're going to be able to do that, barely. All right, it's 3rd and 13. This is a crucial down. The Red Raiders need this first down here if they want to keep their chances alive, but they're probably going to go for it on 4th down either way, and it looks like they're going to do just that, going for it on 4th and 5. I'm expecting a pass here. Looks like it's a screen pass over the middle, and we're going to get the stop. After taking care of business against Texas Tech, it looks like we're going to do the same thing against South Carolina. And did I mention that they also have a great offense? The biggest key of this game is just keeping up with their high-powered offense, and I think that we're able to do it, especially after we did it last week against Texas Tech. And somehow this play is going to work to the outside. It looks like we have a seam, and we're going to take it all the way around the corner. Is Carlson fast enough? He is, just barely. Beautiful. From that point in the game, our offense and defense have done a great job on both ends of the field, and I think if we keep this thing going, we're going to get another win. And a crucial part of that is going to be relying on Carlson to get us to win. That's a huge spin move there, and we're actually going to be able to get a touchdown. From that point on, we were able to control the rest of the game, even to the point where they're punting on 4th and 10 with only a minute left. Yeah, we got another one finally. It's not time to celebrate just yet, as we have one more game left, and it looks like for our last game in the national championship, we're going to be playing against Notre Dame, who's coming off an OT victory over Bama. Now, at the stage set in Atlanta, Georgia against Notre Dame, we're going to be looking to get our first national championship. And of course, this is going to be the most difficult team that we've played so far in the playoffs. Why would it be easy? The first half has not been kind to us, as we find ourselves down by 3 points because of I'm sorry, I had to focus right there. I can't believe I completed that pass. But as I was saying, this first half has been difficult because Notre Dame has been running the ball down our throats, and their defense is nothing to sniff at. But hopefully, if I can run fast enough, I can get to the outside and get that touchdown, getting the lead back. If we play our cards right, we can go up by 10 points in multiple possessions in this game, and that would be huge for us. This is a big play over the middle to Tate again. That play was able to boost our offense down the field, and we're going to be able to end that with the touchdown. And on third down, after Notre Dame scored, they're looking to try to get the lead on this drive, and we need a huge stop on third down, and that sack is perfect. Pause. And that means for the rest of this drive, we're going to be running our Heisman finalists down the drain and hoping to get first down after first down. And this first third down is going to be crucial here. If we can get it here, nice. We're going to be able to take off a lot more clock. That third down conversion would lead to us running out the clock for the rest of the game. And seeing Troy Aikman hold up the coach's trophy and winning the national championship could really bring a tear of my eye. We finally did it. And with that, the final challenge of winning the Natty has been completed, meaning that I've completed every challenge in the video. This means that my bank account is saved and I do not have to give out a copy of College Football 25. But make sure you tune into the next video when that comes out, because it's going to be the same stipulations for that one as well. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, but I'm looking to make this a regular thing again, especially with the new game around the corner. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also be sure to leave a comment on what team I should rebuild next, along with whatever team you want me to rebuild when the new game comes out in less than a month.